Good afternoon again. It's up. Actually, not really. It's a week later. Based off of what y'all are seeing, we are doing a C4 podcast again. So welcome back to C4 podcast. To my left is Nathan. To my right is Jake. As usual, you have the three amigos. That just came out of nowhere. The three guys that are going to talk about anything and everything that you want to talk about. Today, we're going to talk about a very...
We're going to catch some heat.
Would you say it's controversial?
We're going to catch heat. I'm going to tell you now, we're going to catch heat for this one. And it's okay. All you out there, that your friends and family, I love you still.
The reason why I believe that me, you, and Nathan can speak upon alcohol is because we have all struggled with it. We're going to define what God's word really says about it. Is alcohol, drinking a beer, sin? I get that question all the time. No. The beer is not the problem. The substance of alcohol is not the problem. May catch heat from that legalistic point of view, but the beer itself is not the problem. It's the...
And when you say beer, we're talking about all forms of alcohol.
Yes.
Beer, wine, liquor, all of it.
Yeah. See, I would argue against strong drink, though. I would say if you drink liquor, no. It says to stay away from that.
Right.
But
too many people, when they're talking about alcohol, they lump it all together.
That's
what I'm saying.
Yeah, so alcohol in general. So we have the ability to, all three of us are, I know myself and you, Jake, and Nathan has admitted that he struggled with it as well, or our former functioning alcoholics. Thank you, United States Marine Corps. I mean, my goodness,
we all had the same background. So we've all pretty well done the same stuff.
Yeah, so we were literally November 10th, 1775. So this podcast will come out.
You know what? I thought about this, and that's why you were so... it was a lot of Marine Corps. It's our birthday month,
man. It's our birthday month.
And it's 250 years.
Yeah, it's 250 years.
I mean, y'all were started in a bar.
In a bar. Ton Tavern, baby. In a bar. We were started.
Yep.
The American's best fighting force. Sorry, Nathan. Finest was founded in a bar.
We're gonna catch even more heat.
Oh yeah, I don't care. It's first to fight for right and freedom. Woo! But hoorah! Yut, no motivation. Embrace the suck he had on the shirt a couple weeks ago.
Decoys.
Yeah, but we all talk about, we all struggle with alcohol, and mine was an alcohol that was a functioning. It was every day. It was, but man, I went to work, didn't get drunk supposedly, which we're gonna try to define that in the Bible, which. Little, spoiler alert, you can't. Mm-hmm. So what do we do? Render to Caesar what is Caesar's, right? What, Nathan, wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, which is 0.08, which is how many drinks?
To the average person, probably 3.
Yeah. To the average person. but you have functioning out, and then you have the whole idea of people drinking beer. Well, I only had 6. Well, you have a problem. The problem is that you don't know that you have a problem, but we're going to talk about it in a way that I drink because I was trying to self-medicate.
Mm-hmm.
Is really what it boils
and there's a lot of different. I feel like this one's going to go all over the place. So we're going to ask for your forgiveness to start with.
Yeah.
But talking about all of us were in the military, and drinking alcohol in the military is a huge thing. But that's not where mine started. Probably not where most of yours started. I was drinking a lot in high school.
Yeah.
Every weekend. And when you grow up in a small town, that's what a majority of the kids do.
Ride around on the dirt roads and drink, right?
Yeah, I mean, and meet up in a field somewhere and drink. And that's, I told my kids growing up, I was like, if you can get out of a small town America and you're not an alcoholic, and you don't get killed in a car accident, you're really doing good, because that's really what, for a long time, that was the death of teenagers, was automobile accidents, or something to do with alcohol.
Yeah.
So, they knew from an early standpoint that alcohol wasn't good, but I was definitely not, doing what I was preaching, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know.
So before we get too deep, I do want to mention before y'all turn it off and decide that we're just hypocrites that y'all don't want to listen to. We do want to preface this with, we're not vilifying the alcohol itself. It's the substance. It's your attitude towards the substance, and it's anything that takes your attention or your desire for God.
Yeah.
Be that alcohol. Some people make the argument it's anything that would alter your mind. So now we can make a case for coffee, tea,
Alani's,
it could be anything.
Your people gonna hate us, but it could be anything.
It could be TikTok.
It could be food.
Who's watching videos?
Exactly. So yeah, just to preface that. But this particular one seems to always be the trying to define it to justify it. And it's justification. It's justification. Jesus' first miracle, turn water into wine. Justification, Jesus turned water into wine. That's a justification thing. You're missing the point of that whole entire topic. You're missing it if you think that all you get from that is Jesus turned water into wine. You've missed it. And that miracle had nothing to do with that. It was new wine, and then we could talk about what wine was then and what it is now, and how it's totally different. And I always tell people he purified water. It's really what it boils down to, because that's what they drink. They drink grape juice.
Well, the water was so bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it would literally make you sick to drink water.
Absolutely.
So
that's kind of that whole idea. But everybody wants to paint the picture that, I can have a beer, I can have a beer, I can have a beer. Can you have a beer and be a disciple of Christ? Truly.
My answer is no.
Why?
Because each one of us, when you follow Christ, you are to go and make disciples, and you have a personal ministry. And when you abuse any type of substance, then I think it takes away from your ministry.
Okay.
Now that's the short answer.
Yeah. How about you?
Probably not. And it's not because of the beer, but your desire. You don't walk into a group setting to drink together with the idea of you're going to have a true, like, in-depth Bible study. What was your intent when, and I've heard of some people having Bible study and beer, but it's a fine line. And I don't know that it's one you should necessarily walk.
Yeah. Luke 9:23 says, "If those who want to be my disciple must deny themselves."
Yep.
The number one problem to me about it is it's not a denying who you are. It is a filtering of, and like you said earlier, it could be coffee. It could be, oh man, we get on the conversation with coffee with some of these coffee addicts around here. And, stuff like that. It's whatever you have to deny yourself in the regard of it. To pick up your cross and follow me, you must deny yourself, which denies my wants. A lot of the times when it comes to alcohol, it's a denying of your wants and your needs. So Romans 14, if you would please turn there to Romans 14, principles of conscience. And this is a shout out to Scott Gerald. I'm sure he's not afraid to share this story with you. Remember Not a Fan 5 years ago? You sent me a picture.
Yep. So after we did Not a Fan, I realized that I was going to follow Christ, and I had to, like you said, Luke 9:23-24. I had to deny myself, pick up my cross daily, and follow Him. So that entire liquor cabinet got emptied. Took it all out in the yard, and I had all three of my sons come out there with me and watch me pour every bit of it out. And you really never know how much alcohol you have until you get rid of all of it.
Yeah.
And I haven't had a drink since.
Yeah.
And that's been almost 6 years ago now.
Yeah, I'm at 2017, 16, 17? I can't even remember. It's been a while. I actually, and this is a funny topic that we're talking about this and the good use of it. The last time I had a beer was
I remember.
I was at 2018.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be the first one to tell you. I was in ministry. I was ordained.
I remember. Yeah.
I had a Bud Light, 2 of them. Now I went and chose Bud Light because I hate the way Bud Light tastes. All right. I had a UTI. And I was so like convicted by it. Not convicted, but like worried about it. I seeked out counsel. I believe I even called you like, dude, what do you think about this? And you're like, bro,
the doctor,
drink the beer, bro. It will make you pee.
Yeah.
It will clean your system. And that was the point behind it. And so it had nothing, but it did not. So not everybody's going to walk around saying, well, UTI. No, you don't. Stop. Like, that's the last time. And I'll be honest with you, it was gross. I was like, oh, what the heck? You know, I mean, and that is where, now, but that's the last time I've really, consumed alcohol to that. Before that, it was, a year and a half. And some people will say, well, there's other ways you could have cleaned your system and all that stuff. But the reality of it is, it's not. I've done it in the private of my home.
For medical
reasons.
purposes.
I put it in a cup and stuff like that. So it was for medical reasons. But Scott Gerald was not a fan with us, and he had a alcohol problem, and like I said, I'm sure he'll come in and share with us one day. But he said that he was always in that camp. Well, a beer's not going to hurt me. A beer, you get 10 minutes, I can't drink a beer. I'm going to be judging all these things until we read this. We read this verse, and this verse has always been the go-to. Like you said before we started, you said the alcohol itself is not the problem. It's not in essence, it's not the problem. It's the perception of what you and what other people see of you. That's the problem. Romans 4:14-21 says, it is good not to eat meat or drink or wine, or to drink wine, or to do anything by which your brother stumbles. And I've always used this as an example. As a pastor, I walk out of the gas station with a 6-pack of beer. Whatever. I come across somebody who knows I'm a pastor in the community. They see me with a 6-pack of beer. They don't know from Hill of Beans if I'm actually taking the alcohol and going home and drinking one for 6 months. One beer per month for 6 months. They don't know that. What they know is Pastor Howard drinks a 6-pack of beer. He got a 6-pack of beer. He bought a 6-pack of beer. So now what I've just become is a stumbling block.
Yep.
Because now what will happen is they'll go home and say it's okay. And next thing you know, they may love the taste of it, and they may become an alcoholic, and they may, and all these things, where Paul even says, hey, I've got to be a watchman. I've got to make sure my hands are clean, of not being a stumbling block in front of people. And that's the biggest thing. And when that hits you upside the forehead a little bit, like I don't want to be a stumbling block to my brother. You got to understand, the gospel message is not about what your wants are. Gospel message is about who Christ is and for other people.
Yep.
Being a disciple for Christ means I'm a bondservant and slave to Christ. And when his word says, if eating or drinking is going to make your brother stumble, then I would stay away from it. Ad, I know this is a subject that we want to talk about. Go ahead.
Well, I think too, if you go to, we studied Peter not long ago, and in 1 Peter chapter 5, it talks about being of sober spirit, and not being under the influence of anything but the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
And those two aspects of Scripture, in my opinion, wipes out any argument for being able to drink alcohol.
2 Timothy 2.
Yep.
2 Timothy 2 this morning.
Is it Corinthians? I'm pretty sure it's Corinthians. It could be Galatians, but where they started using communion
It's 1 Corinthians 11.
as an
Yeah.
excuse to get
Mhm.
drunk, and it just goes to show.
So
It's
a
manipulate-
reason
it's-
to party, man.
So we're talking about alcohol not because of the substance, but because it's the most popular substance that gets abused, and it's the
Yeah.
most visible. So it's the one that we get questions about, and it is such a stumbling block, or such a such a thing that can really call you in or draw you in, that it got the entire church of Corinth at some point.
Yeah. 1 Corinthians 11, Paul addresses, we read it every Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Or we do communion. Paul's addressing the church at Corinthians. Basically, they had turned communion into reason to a party. They've turned a sacrifice, turned it into a use of liberty to party. And Paul's like, have you not remembered? Do you not remember this thing here? You have to have reverence here. And, and I will say, I have teenagers. Is it sin to drink? If you ain't 21, yeah.
Render to Caesar what is Caesar's.
Yeah.
If you're not 21, the Bible is very clear that civil authorities are placed in the positions by God.
Yeah.
God has ordained through his sovereignty those people to be in their positions. So therefore, the law is the law.
Yeah. Which comes to where our topic is define drunk. And that is where, define what that is. Because that, if you look in the Bible, everywhere throughout the Bible, I see nowhere that is good other than Jesus turning it into wine and Proverbs where it says take a little bit for your stomach if you're sick.
Yeah, every other story in the Bible that has anything to do with alcohol is not a good story.
Moses was put to shame.
Dude. It's not good. And look, let's talk about if you decide to make that choice like we did.
Yeah.
All right. So it doesn't happen overnight. Like I
Yeah.
mean, of course, I got rid of all of my alcohol, but to the world, they don't really know yet. Right. So
Yeah.
I made that decision. Me and God first knew, and then me and my family knew. And I can remember going to parties and to social gatherings, and I would take my Yeti cup and I had water in it, or Gatorade, or Pepsi Cola or something like that. Nobody ever asked me about drinking because to them, it looked like I still was. And I did that on purpose. So, you fast forward a little bit longer, and after a while, it really starts
Convicting you.
And
You're
it's,
like,
but it starts getting easier too.
Yeah.
And then, it goes from, okay, well, I'm not taking my Yeti cup, and somebody asks you about drinking it. No, I don't want anything. I don't feel good, or, I got to get up early in the morning. You start making excuses. And again, that works for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and then it starts convicting you again.
Yeah.
And finally, I can remember the first time, I was at an event in Austin, Texas, which is funny because that's where I'm going again next week. And a guy asked me about having a drink, and I said, I quit drinking. He said, oh, so you were an alcoholic? You had a problem with it? I said, no, God just changed my life. And then it became a way to start talking about God and
Sure.
and talking about the
Back to
gospel.
God's glory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so now it's really easy, but just to let people know that when you make that decision, when God changes your life, it's not going to happen overnight, just like anything else.
And people are going to be like, they're going to they're going to quit hanging out.
You're going to
with you,
lose
bro.
friends.
Oh,
You're
my
going to
gosh.
lose.
But you're going to be okay with it. You're
Yeah.
going to find yourself not wanting to go to
Yeah.
those same parties because now you see what's going on at those
Yeah.
parties, and you just want to go home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is the thing and there's friends, and this is where I know that one of the things that I had that me being a pastor in this community is difficult.
Well, people are always going to know you.
Always
going to
remember me who I was.
Me too, and I have no issue with that.
Yeah,
but I know I'm not.
Yeah, that's right. They're always going to
So-
say, "Well, he's whatever." I used to see him in parties. There's people in this community that have seen me at my worst, man.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. And they've seen me in positions where and a part of some people have told me, "Man, I love what you're doing. I love what God's doing, but I can't take you serious because I used to get drunk with you." Well, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I get it, man. That's the whole, I can't at this moment in time, the judgmental thing where I got to take the log out of my own eye. I can't bounce on you for that. The only thing I could do is tell you why and tell you that God, the gospel.
It was nothing we did. It's what God did for us.
Absolutely, 100%.
All we had to do was surrender.
That's correct. So, and we're defining what drunk is in the Bible. You're not going to find it anywhere. You're not going to define what drunk is. It just says don't be drunk. I do believe it's defined as the inability to be able to function. But at the same time,
I don't think it has to go that far. I think it's just anything that alters your consciousness in any way.
Yeah.
Because be sober minded.
Yeah.
So that any influence takes you away from being sober.
Yeah.
So one drink, and you no longer have the full capacity of your mind.
Yeah.
At that point. So
you're no longer worried about what you need to be worried about.
Right.
Yeah.
One Christmas tree Debbie cake.
Oh, dude, I already got those, and we're eating them already. Just so you know.
But yeah, that's a great subject. What's the difference between alcohol and gluttony? Like, what's the difference between somebody eating a Christmas tree and somebody, well, you do it in moderation, but at the same time,
what is moderation? Define that.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think it's very clear that we have a law in our states, the 0.08.
Mm-hmm.
That 0.08 is a law for a reason, and whatever that is, I personally look at it from the stance of, if you're drinking a beer and you're a follower of Christ and you're around people in public,
you're wrong.
You're wrong. I've always said that it's hard to share the gospel with a beer in your hand. It's hard because it's just different. The truth of the gospel message, I've heard I'm a good person, but the truth of the gospel message is just difficult. It's difficult to sit there and do it with a beer in your hand. And like you said when we started this, there's going to be people that it's going to be controversial. They're going to totally disagree with us.
Like it or not, a lot of it just flat out has to do with perception.
Yeah.
I mean, it's no different than sharing the gospel with coffee in your hand.
Yeah.
But the perception of the lost is not the same. You can reach people that are lost with coffee in your hand. You can use coffee, like share coffee as a ministry.
Yeah.
You don't get the same perception when you're sharing Budweiser.
Yeah.
No. And I also think too that, we talked about this beforehand. The alcohol or abusing it is a sin.
Mm-hmm.
But even if, let's just say that you're not abusing it in a form of, I'm not getting drunk, but I do have a drink or two.
Yeah.
But a lot of times it leads you to other sins.
Mm-hmm.
Coffee, I don't know where coffee leads you to too many sins. I don't know where Little Debbie cakes lead you to too many other sins other than gluttony. But alcohol will lead you down a path of destruction.
Yeah.
And that's just one aspect of it. And I think the other thing I wanted to say too was, if you want to justify drinking alcohol, I think you can go through the Bible and find ways you can try to justify it, just about everything. But it's taking stuff out of context.
That's right.
It's adding and it's deleting things. It's not the true word.
That's right. And I know that people will say, well, I don't struggle with this. Well, if I don't struggle with it, well, I don't have to, And that's where I think it goes wrong. Because I've heard that before. Well, I don't struggle with this. And I'm like, well, you may not. So I'm okay to do it. But yet, at what point, and this is a question I ask all the time, are you drinking just to have the taste of a beer? Or are you legitimately drinking to be drunk? And if you were doing that, you were habitually sinning.
Mm-hmm.
You were literally, I've had people say to me, yeah, I drink for one reason, get a buzz. Well, then that's sinful. I mean, there's no other way around that. And that is where I just can't see it. If you're thirsty, drink water, dude. I mean, it doesn't taste the same. I mean, we'll put some raspberry flavoring in it. I don't know.
Well, let's go back to, when I found out one of the hardest things was to grill. Like after I quit drinking, going to the parties and social gatherings was one thing.
Grilling.
But on Saturday, when I go out there and crank up the grill, and I'm used to having something right here, and I'm like, so I started drinking Coca-Cola, and I don't like soft drinks.
Yeah.
I'm a sweet tea kind of person, but I was drinking Coca-Cola.
You know what mine is?
Like crazy.
Mine is Cindy. It cracks Cindy up. I will get the waters. The what's the name of the waters? The Waterloos.
Waterloo.
Yeah. Or the Chow.
The sparkle waters.
The sparkling waters. I mean, and stuff like that. Like you go back to earlier, you're talking about your alcohol. I had an issue with dipping, and some people are like, "Are you going to go to hell for dipping?" No. But I had an issue with dipping. Number one, your teeth are going to fall out and you might get cancer. All right. But I dipped like crazy, dude. Like it was like I would have a Copenhagen, oh my goodness, in my mouth all the time. Well, Serve 2017. I'll tell you when it happened. I was a youth pastor trying to minister to these kids throwing dip in my mouth. And dude, I got so convicted by that thing. I tossed that junk through a whole brand new can, toss it, and started like dipping the fake stuff and sunflower seeds and chewing gum,
the ground, the instant coffee out, the MREs,
all that stuff. And then finally, I was like, man, this is no different. And I was convicted. God said it was not really a vocal point; it was a thought process of I gave this up. God convicted me of this to give it up. I'm not just giving up because it's the morally good thing to do or whatever, but I'm still replacing it with something. It's not the substance as much as it's the heart.
Mm-hmm.
It's that thorn.
Yeah.
And you can't allow that thorn to be in your side and give in to it. And then all of a sudden you get it out and you just shove another one back in.
Yeah. No, like the people, man, they have alcohol. I had a conversation with one of our guys. I'm not going to mention his name. Y'all know who he is, though. He was a former alcoholic. I had a conversation with him Friday. He works a lot now. And I told him, I said, don't replace an addiction with an addiction. So don't replace one with another.
Yeah.
Even though, alcohol work is different than alcohol, it's the substance behind, keeping your mind. So don't replace one with another. And so that's where, we could talk about this.
Yeah, and I think
for hours.
I think what we need to really clarify too is, I was technically an alcoholic,
mm-hmm.
but I was not somebody who was suffering.
That's
I had to
huge,
have
man.
it physically.
Yeah.
It was, I was self-medicating was one thing from PTSD. Most military people, emergency workers, police, fire, EMS, they probably have some form of PTSD, whether they want to admit it or not. And a lot of them do self-medicate with alcohol. And because alcohol is socially acceptable, then they think it's okay.
Yeah.
And it's not.
And we have to be careful because with drinking alcohol, and this is a conversation I had with somebody this week, with drinking alcohol, you build a tolerance to it.
Absolutely.
And man, listen, when I was drinking, dude, I could drink, right? I mean, 12-pack didn't faze me. But you start throwing in the other stuff is when it started getting, white people drinking shots everywhere and all this stuff. But
Yep.
but it was, it didn't faze me. And it was just, but some people don't think, well, I just had 6 beers. But they don't, and I got to work the next. Well, I hadn't drank or anything like that, or I had 7 beers. It didn't affect me. What you don't understand is detoxing and DTs and stuff like that. Can you go a week without it? You may not. You can go a day. I went days without it. Can you go a week without it? You may not be drunk. You can have 6 or 7 beers, but can you go a week without it? Most of the people that are functioning alcoholics, it never really gets out of their system. So it stays there. And when it stays there, they don't really understand what DTs is and what withdrawals is and stuff like that. They just constantly drink. Well, I might go 15, 12 hours, long enough to work where I'm functioning. I'm not really drunk, but
I'm not sober either.
I'm not sober.
You never really get sober.
You never really get sober. You're just kind of there, but you can drive. You can do all the things, and you can get off work. Well, I can start drinking again, but it's only been 24 hours or 2 or 3 days, but it never really gets out of your system until you take a week. And then you'll find out real fast, oh, wow, I do lean on this, or I may have pain somewhere and I have to drink to get the pain to go away. You know, all these things. That is an abuse of alcohol.
Yep.
And
that is a sin.
That's sinful. Yeah. And so there's, you know, making sure that we keep this thing, because I know some dudes, man, they can flat get with it, but the subject is always, and the thing is always, well, I'll go to work. I'm a good person. There is weekend alcoholics, dude. At one point, that's what I was. So
it's no different than, you know, the whole Christianity and morals thing. It's the same concept. You try to justify, like Jake's been saying, what you do versus what society expects.
Yeah.
You know that you need to be following Christ because, I mean, especially here, we're in the Bible Belt. Everybody's familiar, at least with the stories.
Yeah.
In fact, I'd say probably 85% of everybody in the Bible Belt, in our area anyway, would profess to be Christians.
Mm-hmm.
Now, are they? That's a whole different story.
Yeah. Like I said this morning, in which you'll get this 2 weeks from now, like I said this morning, our commission is to go and make disciples, not make Christians.
Oh, that was so good. That was so good. And I actually used it after church talking to somebody else.
Yeah.
And I mean, and it's true. And
Yeah.
I think that's, probably need to talk about that one day, because that's a good
Yeah.
topic.
And that's straight out. And listen,
Yeah.
it ain't my words. It's come out of
No.
John MacArthur's commentary. But it's so good. I mean, it's so good where
I think a lot of churches, and I'll quit with it on this, but I think a lot of churches make a lot of Christian
make a
people,
lot of Christian people, make
But
a lot
not-
of good moral people.
but not many churches make disciples.
Because if you look at that whole process of what we're talking about, there is the gospel message is going to cause persecution. It's going to cause you to be stoned. It's going to cause good people, religious people, to turn on you. It's going to cause all this stuff because you're preaching the truth of the message. And then you start dipping into telling people, you know, alcohol is probably not beneficial, and you know, and all these things. Then it's no condemnation nonsense. No.
So Howard,
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
thing, did you realize when you were reading that commentary that Christian was first used at Antioch?
Yes.
The term. Jesus didn't make Christians.
No.
Mm-mm.
Jesus made disciples.
And matter of fact, Christians used in a term of not endearment.
It was derogatory.
As a derogatory term. And
Those nasty Christians.
nasty guys,
Yeah.
you know. So it's now, so that's what we're not in the business of Christianity is a religion. Christianity is a religion. The people that are into Christianity religion or whoever are legitimates are disciples of Christ.
Yep.
And
that doesn't mean we're disciples. And
that's not just wordplay. We
No.
we want you to follow Christ. We want you
Yeah.
to open your Bible. We want you to read. We want you to study. We want you to walk aside other believers. That's the difference.
yeah. And this subject, if just taking a deep dive into not just Sunday morning, you know, not sitting in church on Sunday morning ready to get out of church on Sunday morning so I can get in my boat and have a beer.
Oh.
And you know, literally legitimate getting into the message, you know, getting in God's word, getting in discipleship groups, getting into the stuff and not the superficial, super level stuff, the pat on the back, the actual digging deep into some of the stuff and getting in God's word. You'll say, man, you know, yeah, I like beer, dude. I love the way Miller Lite tastes. I'm not gonna lie to you, I love the way Miller Lite tastes. Boy, did not like who I was.
No.
And I love Christ so much better.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, I'm surrendered to him. I'm a slave. I'm a bond slave to him. A voluntary bond slave to him. And I can't, whatever I love, you know, and I can't justify that for somebody else because I have to love. The greatest gift of all these is love.
Mm-hmm.
And loving my brother is not doing something for myself, but for the benefit of them in the gospel. And that's just, if I have to give up drinking, if I have to not drink a beer to make sure that person doesn't stumble, what's beer?
Yeah.
You know?
And I think it's, like I said, it's a process. And if you decide to go that route, which, you know, anybody that's listening to this and decides they want to do that, you know, just know it's not going to happen overnight. it's a process, but God will lead you through it, and even the physical.
If you need help to get guide, I mean, we're not over here throwing stones, dude.
No.
And that's the thing is where we're not throwing stones and being condemning and judgmental. I mean, we literally started off by saying we struggle with this.
Yeah, and look, I think a lot of people, this is one of those, it's a stumbling block for them, and they don't even realize the fact that the reason they can't get closer to Christ is because they don't want to give up drinking.
Yeah.
The reason they don't come to church is because I drink a lot, and they were probably going to say something to me about it. Or, like you said, Sunday, summertime, we're heading to the river, that's in our area.
And you could replace, like we said.
The river is another substance. I mean, like we said, man, it's just the replacing Christ.
I'm going to say this one, and this one's, and we might have to cut it off on this. You know what else is another substance? Sports.
Yeah.
Sports is another substance. And we talk about where you
all right, so we just made all the dads mad with talking about alcohol. Now you want to get the moms mad talking about taking their kids to sports.
Oh man, it comes down to it because you'll hear this a lot of the times. Like well, I'm to church to somebody. Really? Tell me. It's another topic.
Let's talk
about
that because I don't want the pitchforks coming after me right now.
The point being is, don't think you're better than somebody because they may be struggling with anything specific, be it alcohol. You have your own struggle.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's harder to see or it's more socially accepted than others, but it's the same in God's eyes.
Yeah.
It's the same. Any substance, any action that separates you from God.
Well, separates you from the fellowship of other believers as well. Make sure we know that to be the key. Don't forsake the assembling of the gathering of the saints and stuff like that.
Anything that separates you from glorifying God and walking alongside believers and following Christ is wrong.
It's just but on the basis of this substance, alcohol, drinking one beer, you never know that kid. That kid may be teetering, and he sees Christian deacon, elder so and so, or whoever it may be, somebody that's in church.
Just an adult. Think about that too. Now you've got, we've all before our walk, we had kids that were, young teenage, early teens, 15, 16 years old, and they looked up to us, and they see you in there on a Saturday or any day of the week in the Exxon station, getting a 6-pack or 12-pack or walking out of the liquor store. Well, Mr. Jake's a good guy. He lives a good life from what they can see. He drinks, so it's probably okay for me. So we're not even just talking about us as Christian men, just men in general.
Yeah.
You have influence in over young, influential teenagers, and you should really think about that.
Well, guys, we'll invite y'all all at 10:30 Sunday mornings at the Hampton County Rec Department. And again on Wednesday nights at 6:30 to the Hampton County Rec Department for Bible study. If you feel so led, please support this ministry through Tithely. Thank you.
Thank you.